AI has made it easier than ever to generate the perfect images for your e-learning projects. Now you can go from spending hours sourcing graphics to just seconds using tools like Midjourney. Have you ever spent hours trying to find the perfect image for your e-learning project just to settle for something that's close enough, and then you still spend time in Illustrator or a similar tool trying to edit the image to make it perfect? Well, generative AI tools like Midjourney have made it possible to generate perfect images in just seconds. My name is Sabrina Gonzalez, and I'm an instructional designer, and I've recently joined Devlin's team as a bootcamp pro. In preparing for this video, I've been spending a lot of time experimenting with Midjourney, finding ways to write good prompts to get the images you want, using resource images, and even how to pull an image that Midjourney has already generated and create similar images to that one. I've found some really good success using these different methods that I'm going to share with you. And I've even used Midjourney to create background images for a client project that I'm currently working on. So let's get into it. So Midjourney is hosted on the platform Discord. It's free to have a Discord account, but you do need to pay for Midjourney because it's been in such demand that the free trial has gone away. But it's really affordable. It's about $10 a month with the most basic plan. So I'm going to show you how to set it up in Discord first, because as you can see, as I've been talking, many images have been generating. They have these newbie sections where you can get started, but it's really easy to put in a prompt and then lose your image. As you can see, there's been 55 new images since the starting of this recording, and they just keep coming in. So what you'll do first is you want to set up your own Discord server. To do that, you'll come over here to add a server, create your own, and then just name it. So I'll name this one eLearning Projects. And then you'll have this server, but Midjourney is really a bot on the server, so we need to invite it. So I'll go back to the main Midjourney server, and I'm going to click on one of these posts where it says Midjourney bot, and I'm going to add to server. Then I can tell it I want it in the eLearning projects and make sure all of this looks good. Yes, I'm a human. All right, and then once we do that, we'll have the bot in our server and we'll prompt the bot to create images. So everything on here to prompt, we'll use a slash first, and then you'll see some of the things that come up. Let's go to settings first. So there have been lots of updates to Midjourney. The most recent one is 5.2, where it has included like zoom in and zoom out, and then most recently a pan feature. So like if you create an image, you can pan to the left and it'll make it a longer image for panoramic, which is a really cool feature, especially if you wanted to do like a scroll image for your e-learning project. I'm going to go ahead and change mine to fast mode so that my images generate a little bit quicker. But there are so many different features on here to play around with, so definitely check those out. As an instructional designer, you may come across a situation where you're working with a client in a very niche market and you don't have access to a graphic designer to draw the images of the things you need. For example, let's say we're working with a client in corporate gardening. So they work in this very industrial office, but inside they have lots of plants and greenery, and the attire of the employees is still very businessy, like suit and tie, but looks like it could also be found in a garden. So maybe like suspenders or overalls, and then boots or something like that, maybe specific gloves that they wear. Let's see how Midjourney can help us. To do commands in Midjourney, you always use a slash and all of the commands will come up. Imagine is going to be the one that we use to type in the prompts. We can adjust our settings. And the other prompt that I like using is describe. So if you have an image that you like, but you want to change some things about it, you can use the describe command, throw it in there, and Midjourney will give you 4 prompts that describe that image that you could use to generate more images just like it. But let's start with imagine. And we want to imagine our first character. So we're going to imagine a man with short hair, and he's going to be in this corporate gardening. So we want him to wear a gardening business suit. Now I don't want just this character, right? I want him in different poses, and I want to create an entire character pack. So let's do a full body character pack, different angles, and let's make sure it has a white background. And that way we can pull characters out as we need to. I also want to be specific about the style. So I don't want this to be photorealistic. I want it to be an illustrative style. And then I'll press enter to generate. As Midjourney generates its images, you'll see a percentage to let you know how complete it is, and it'll start to load in here. So every time it generates images, you'll have 4 different choices. And here we have some options to upscale the image. So if there's one we like, we can upscale it and get a bigger version of it. Or if there's one we like, but it's not quite what we need, we can create different versions. We also have the opportunity to re-roll this prompt. And in our settings, we can set remix mode on, which I'll do that so I can show you. So with remix mode on, what that does is when we re-roll, it'll give the prompt back up to us so that we can make any adjustments to the prompt before we ask it to generate these images. I highly recommend having that on each time you use Midjourney. Okay, so let's take a look at these images. Sometimes you'll notice that things like this happen where this gentleman is missing a leg and it kind of looks like the same back here. The style is pretty nice. I like that. These are interesting. They do look businessy with a vest, but almost more like a safari. I think this one up here is kind of giving us more of what we're looking for. He has the button-down shirt. These look like slacks somewhat, but they're still overalls. So that's pretty good. These ones are okay. But let's upscale this first image. So I'll just press upscale 1, and it's usually pretty quick, so we get this image here. And it's not too bad. It is looking a little bit like what we want. But let's go ahead and let's re-roll this prompt, and let's make sure that it's like a suit and tie, but gardening. So I'll click the re-roll button, and because I have remix mode on, my prompt comes back up. And I'm just going to add business suit and tie. Now it'll start generating those images. Here's what Midjourney came up with. These look a lot better. We do have the suit and tie, and you can see it's still giving some of these types of suspenders. Here he is with a shovel. This one here has the suspenders also holding plants. So this is more of what we're looking for. But again, you can see sometimes we get these suspenders that don't really go anywhere or make sense for what's happening in the image. I really like this style down here, so I'm going to go ahead and upscale this one. And now I want to upscale this too because this is going to be the image that I'm going to focus on and create the others in the similar style. So now let's go ahead and create a female character for this situation. I've gone ahead and changed the prompt to a woman in a gardening business suit with all of the same descriptors that we put above. And you can see here with what Midjourney generated, it's pretty good. It's not quite the same style that we have here, and we definitely want cohesive images, so we don't want that to be distracting to our learners. This one down here looks like it could be close, but not quite what we need it to be. So there are some ways that we can create cohesive images. There's 2 ways. I can upload a resource image. So I could download this and add it as a resource and put it into our prompt, or I can use something called the seed number. So every image that's generated is given a seed number as its identification number, and I can pull that seed number and tell Midjourney to refer to it. So let's go ahead and first use this as a resource image, see what images we get, and then we'll also do a seed image, and then we can compare to see which one gives us a better, closer match. So this is the image I want to use. I'm going to select it and open in the browser. The reason I need to do this is because for a resource image, I need a URL. If I was uploading an image that I wanted to use, I would just add an image here. I would upload a file and then do the same thing where I would select the image and open it in the browser to get a URL. So I'm going to copy this URL, come back to Midjourney, And I'll do the same thing. Imagine. Actually, let's take a shortcut. I can re-roll this. And now to add a resource image, I'm going to add it in the front of my prompt. And let's see what it gives us. All right, here's what Midjourney generated, and it's looking a lot better. It's looking closer to the style that we want, but I think we can get an even more cohesive image by using the seed number. So in order to get the seed number, what I'm going to do is go to the image that I want to use, and I'm going to right click. And if this is your first time using Discord, you'll have to add a reaction, which is just adding emojis, and we want the envelope. Once I select the envelope, it will send this image to the direct messages. And from here, I can get the seed number. So we'll have our job number as well as the seed number. I'm going to copy this and go back into my server. Now I want to re-roll this, and I'm going to add that seed number. So the seed number is a parameter. Any parameters we need to do 2 dashes, so dash dash, and then I'll paste in the seed number. And let's see if this gets us a better image. All right, using the seed number, we get something a little bit closer actually. You can see all of these characters are starting to have like a similar face, which is interesting because we didn't ask it to do that, but it's starting to do that. I think this one here fits pretty closely to the style that we're looking for to match the male character. But I really like this one's outfit. Although this one is giving us kind of the same thing we're looking for, that gardeny look with the suspenders. So let's upscale number 3. And take a closer look. Sorry, that's another thing that I should mention. That's number 2. So in order, it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I meant to say is upscale number 2. Although number 1 doesn't look too bad compared to our male character. But yeah, this one looks to be a little bit closer. Sometimes their faces are a little bit wonky, but you can find ones that are pretty good. So there's our male character, here's our female character. Now I want to set the scene, right? I need a background that's going to show them in this industrial corporate building with a lot of greenery. You may have noticed that all of the images that Midjourney generates are all in a 1-to-1 ratio, right? They're a perfect square. Well, there are parameters that we can change in order to get different ratios. So typically, I create my learning experiences in a 16:9 ratio. So I'm going to start telling Midjourney that all the images it creates now should be in that same ratio. I gave Midjourney the prompt, the inside of a corporate office building with lots of plants and greenery, included the illustrative style like we've been including, and then here's where I changed the aspect ratio. So again, it's a parameter, use 2 dashes, AR for aspect ratio, and then I told it I want it in a 16:9. Here's what it came up with. These look pretty good, and they may fit our style a bit. I can go ahead and do the same thing I did before by using the seed number to try to get the style a little bit closer to what we're looking for. So let's re-roll. Let's make sure I have the seed number. So I'm going to copy it again. Let's re-roll and let's add the seed number. I'm going to add it above or ahead of this. And let's see what we get. All right, let's take a look at these. You can see these ones up here starting to get more of a defined outline and looking more like a comic book style. Here we have where it's just more illustrated, and this one's starting to look more photorealistic. We can ask Midjourney also by changing some of those settings to be less varied and things like that. But I really like this image here. So this is image 3. So I've upscaled image 3, and let's take a closer look. I really like this one for our style of what we're going for. So here's our male character, our female character, and our scenery. One thing that's important to know about Midjourney is anything you create does show up in Midjourney's main Discord. in their main feed, and it will also show up in the gallery on their website. You can change your settings for privacy, but you do have to have one of the higher paid accounts. So if you turn off public mode, it will no longer show up in Midjourney's gallery, but it will still show up in the Discord. So it's never completely hidden. So that's something that's important to know as you're going through this, especially if you're trying to work on custom assets for a client and you're putting proprietary images in here and prompting it. So keep that in mind. If this is your first time using Midjourney or Discord, Midjourney has really good documentation at docs.midjourney.com that can help you get started using Midjourney, help you get started using Discord, and there's a user guide also to help you understand the different versions and what updates have been made, and then all the different parameters. I just showed you a couple parameters, but there are a lot more that can really help you fine-tune your images. Another really great tool that I found during this exploration is prompt.noonshot.com. You can start typing in your idea of what you would like to generate, and this will help you add more parameters to create the best image possible. So it'll help you with your styles, the lighting. If you're going for a real photo, like photorealistic, you can even decide what camera it's being shot with. If you have a specific artist in mind, it'll help you with that as well. Pulling out specific colors, things like that. So you just type it in, it'll give you all of the stuff. You copy the prompt, take it over to Midjourney, and start generating images. Some other tools that are not showcased in this video so far that I do want to talk about are the zoom feature and the pan features. Those are more recent in the 5.2 version update. With zoom out, it'll zoom out from your image. So it will take your image and then auto generate and fill the rest of it to make this image a bit bigger. That's actually what I used on my client project that I was talking about. My situation was we have this hiking trail and I wanted the learner to feel like they are hiking down this trail towards the sunset. So I started with an image close to the sunset and kept zooming out, generating all these different cohesive images. So now as they go through the learning experience, it's zooming in towards the sunset. And it's a really cool feature. The other feature that is new is the pan feature. So we have this image, but if I want to see more of what's to the left of this, I can pan to the left and it will autofill to the left of this image. What's really nice is, again, if you're creating some kind of scroll image interaction, you could create this really nice long panoramic image. If you forgot to change the aspect ratio, this is perfect. So you can create this panoramic image, import it to whatever authoring tool you're using, like Storyline, and create a scroll image, or even take that image and turn it into a vector and create a parallax effect, because now you have this wonderful panoramic image as well. So those are some other really cool features of Midjourney that you can play around with that we didn't explore in this video. Before you go out and start exploring on your own, there are some tips that I'd like to share with you that I've learned throughout this exploration. It's really helpful when you are prompting Midjourney to make your prompts as succinct as possible. And anything that you feel is important to the prompt should always be up at the front. As Midjourney reads through the prompt, things that get further down in the prompt start to lose more importance, and you'll notice that things at the end don't always show up in your image. There are ways to combat that by using colons to separate the prompts. So you can have, like, for our example, a corporate office, double colon, plants and greenery. That's going to set it up to make sure that we have a corporate office and we have plants and greenery. So it starts to separate the prompt to make sure everything has a similar importance. Some other things that I learned about are you can put very wordy prompts into Midjourney, but like I said, it's going to really focus on those beginning words and it'll slowly phase out anything that was at the end. So if it's important, make sure it's at the front. You can add as many parameters to your prompt as you'd like. I've not found that the order of the parameters matters any. It really just seems like as long as they're in there with the dashes, it'll show up the way you need it to. Another thing I learned is that Midjourney has a natural language processing technology. And so the more grammatically correct your prompts are, the closer it should result in those images. Still writing short prompts, I've noticed, have pretty much given me the images that I've been wanting. But writing something, if it's going to be a longer prompt, writing it more grammatically correct can help you generate images that are closer to what you're looking for. Finding the right images for your project doesn't have to take up all of your time, especially with a tool like Midjourney. And if you're looking for a way to increase your workflow using AI, then make sure to join our waitlist for the tool we're working on at devlin.ai. Thanks for staying to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.